Welcome to the official YouTube channel of Eternia.com. I'm your host AJ, and today we're doing an unboxing and a mini review of the Masters of the Universe Origins, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon collection, Many Faces figure. And I got my gin on the side here, and I'm so excited to take a look at this figure because this rendition of this character was the first time I realized Many Faces was a good guy. Yep, he was a heroic warrior, not an evil warrior. Because when I first got this figure, I guess way back in 1983, I thought he was an evil warrior. You know, I got one of those packages where it didn't say heroic human robot monster. It just said human robot monster. And then on the back, you know, the cross-cell art didn't indicate he was a heroic warrior. And look, he's got the name of Monster, right? He's got this horrible face, monstrous face. Who would think he's a good guy? So I don't know, for the year or so that I had him, I played with him as an evil warrior. He was the right-hand man to Skeletor. You know, even in my own, playing narrative, he took over. He overthrew Skeletor and took over Snake Mountain. And then it wasn't until the classic, animated series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I guess a year later when I saw that episode, that I realized Many Faces was a good guy. He indeed was a heroic warrior, and I've been playing with him wrong for all that time. So I was so happy that this show finally set me straight. All right, so looking at the packaging, I love the He-Man and the Masters Universe logo so much. I love Hordak's face here and the fire behind Castle Grayskull. It's just so awesome. And then there's the figure and the mini comic behind him. And yeah, it looks like we have no accessory, no artifact, right? And I think this is the second figure in the cartoon collection that didn't come with an artifact. The first one being Mantenna, and then the second one being Many Faces. And I, subscribe to the theory that, there's a certain budgetary amount for each cartoon collection figure. And I imagine certain figures kind of push up against that budgetary amount, and they can't afford to put an accessory in there. Mantenna being the 4 legs, and Many Faces being probably this expensive, head action feature. At least that's what I subscribe to. I don't know if that's true. Might not be. So let's turn this packaging around and take a look at the back here. And oh, look, once again, we got this gorgeous art by Francisco Echard. And he does such an amazing job here. And look, he's depicting a scene from The Mystery of Many Faces. That was Many Faces' debut in the cartoon He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I think he only appeared in 2 episodes total, but it was a great episode. And then here is the other figures in the wave. Once again, cartoon collection has been reduced from 4 figures to 3, but I'm still just happy they're releasing these figures because they're great. I can't wait to check out that Triclops. All right, that's enough just drooling over this packaging. Let's get him out of the bubble and take a closer look. So here he is out of his packaging, the cartoon collection Many Faces, on this dais and in 360 degrees. And my first impression is he looks cool, doesn't he? In regards to screen accuracy, I think they did a really good job. I think I have an issue or two. We'll take a closer look at that. In regards to overall paint application, it looks pretty clean, but I do have an issue as well. It looks like at least one issue. We'll take a closer look at that. And I can't wait to take a closer look at the inner workings of his action feature. The Many Faces of Many Faces. Did you know Orko gave him the name Many Faces in the cartoon? Yes, he did. All right, but enough spinning in 360 degrees. Let's first look at his screen accuracy. Okay, let's talk screen accuracy, and we're going to get to Many Faces in the next segment. But talking about his overall body, he looks pretty much spot on with the cartoon. I think his helmet is a little bit too tall, but I think that has something to do with his little knob here, his action features. So you know what, we'll forgive that. But his colors look spot on. Maybe his skin color is a little lighter than what we saw in the cartoon, but no, he looks terrific. The boots look accurate. Oh, look, the boots have these little knobs, these little hinge barrels. Same thing with the elbows. That was accurate for the cartoon too. He had them both in the elbows and in the ankles. And then looking at the back here, everything looks terrific. I'm not sure what this little square is. It looks like a button. No, it doesn't do anything. But that wasn't in the cartoon. But everything else looks accurate. Oh, except his butt. I'm sorry. If you ever look at Many Faces in the Filmation cartoon, you'll always notice from behind he's got a noticeable butt crack. And I'm sorry if you've never noticed that before. Now you're not going to be able to unsee it when you watch the cartoon. But for some reason, it was always there. But they neglected to put it on this figure. And you know what? Maybe we should be thankful for that. But otherwise, he looks terrific. He looks like he just came out of the cartoon. All right, so let's take a closer look at these head sculpts. All right, so let's take a look at the many face sculpts of Many Faces. Starting with this monster face sculpt, and it's sculpted wonderfully, right? Doesn't it look like the cartoon? You know, from the beady little nose to the 4 white teeth to the red eyes. It looks terrific. You know, the only problem I have is with the paint application. You know, his face is supposed to be framed with black paint. If you're trying to be 100% cartoon accurate, you see where the face is framed on both sides? That is supposed to be black paint, and it's not. I know, AJ, you're nitpicking. Otherwise, it looks great, but it's not 100% there. So let's take a look at the machine, the robot. He looks great, doesn't he? Okay, this is spot on, you know, with the blue visor eyes and the purple on the sides. You know, the face is framed in that purple paint. Looks terrific. I just love it. All right, that one's perfect. And now let's go to the human face here. And, yeah, okay, so the human face is sculpted great, okay? But the paint, the mask paint around the eyes is not supposed to match what frames the face. You know the little like Magneto helmet? That's supposed to be purple. You know, that's supposed to be actually purple, kind of like the purple you see on the robot, you know? It's not supposed to be pink. It's not supposed to match the same paint color around the eyes. Yeah, look at that. That's unfortunate. So both the monster face that's supposed to be framed in black and the human face is supposed to be framed in purple. Yeah, Mattel, unfortunately, kind of messed up on these faces in regards to screen accuracy. Yeah, that's a bummer. You know, in the cartoon, these weren't the only 3 faces Many Faces could turn into. He could turn into, like, Skeletor. He could make himself look like Beastman. You know, I wonder, can this be taken off? Hang on a second. Did I throw stand by as I threw away the instructions. I know AJ is supposed to be reading the instructions first, but I'm not. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. We can remove the whole head and chest piece. All right, let's do that. All right, I think I got it. Apparently you can teach an old dog new tricks. So in order to remove this helmet and armor piece, what you have to do is first separate him at the torso, like all Origins figures. Oh, I don't like how that's snapping. Did that break? No, that's okay. All right, and apparently this isn't a button here, it's a clasp. So what you can do is unclasp it here, and look how easy it slips off. And there's his head, Many Faces' head. From monster to robot to man. All right, so as we saw in the cartoon, he can also make himself look like Skeletor and Beastman. So let's give it a shot. Let's remove Many Faces' head. Let's bring in Skeletor, remove Skeletor's head, put it on Many Faces' body, and now this is the true test. Let's see if this helmet's going to fit. Let's hope it does. Oh, I think it will. Let's clasp it on. And there we go. And now he's disguising himself as Skeletor. How cool is that? Just like the cartoon. All right, so when it comes to articulation, there's nothing to see here, folks. Yeah, Many Faces just comes with the standard Origins cartoon collection articulation that we're accustomed to. No bells or whistles, but just that standard stuff. The one thing you're going to notice, though, is you're going to really have no head articulation. You can only just spin the faces, which you knew that coming in anyway. Now, the one thing I do want to complain about is in regards to paint application. While the paint application is overall very clean, I'm really frustrated with these forearms. Check them out. As you can tell, the forearms were actually molded in blue plastic, and then they are painted with flesh color. And if you can see within the joints, the blue shows and has this very dirty, messy look. And you can even see the blue coming through the flesh skin here. And I just don't know why, these forearms weren't molded in flesh color plastic. And then, the bracer and the armor was painted blue versus vice versa. So this really looks messy. It looks sloppy. Not a big fan of it, and definitely counts as a point against this figure. And here's the mini comic, Slime Lord, Part 2 of Horde Invasion. And it really looks like a cool mini comic. I can't wait to give it a read. I love the fact that they're teasing the slime pit in here, and it'd be really cool if they introduced the slime pit into the Origins line, but it's really more of a vintage thing than cartoon collection. So all this might be is just an Easter egg to that awesome play set, but it's cool to see it in the mini comic regardless. So what do I think of the Origins He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon collection Many Faces figure? Look, I really like this figure, but I have some gripes. Mattel's been knocking out of the park lately when it comes to cartoon collection, but this one unfortunately takes a step back, and it's mainly about the faces of Many Faces. Unfortunately, the paint colors chosen were off. When you have a cartoon collection figure, it's a lot about screen accuracy, and this face just doesn't cut it. And the faces of Many Faces is the most important part. So I'm really struggling with that, and I'm really also struggling with the forearms, the fact that you have the blue popping through the joints. It looks really messy, it looks really sloppy. So unfortunately, this figure is a step back for me. Sure, of course, I would also love it to include an artifact. How great would it have been if we could include a widget? I'm not talking about an articulated widget, but something like, the Smurfs from the 80s, just something hard plastic, that has no articulation, that just stands there. Would have been great. Would have made this figure, up a level. But regardless, I'm still very happy I have this Many Faces. He's overall still a really great figure, but I just hope the other two, figures in this wave, Hordak and Triclops, are a little better made. So we'll see how that goes. Well, that's it. I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.